All right, so today we're going to cover the two-stroke oil change. Our bike today is a 300 race edition. The 250, 300 race edition have the same stats for oil quantity, volume, and whatnot. So the tools that we're going to need today are a 13 millimeter. I have an extension just to make it a little bit easier, ratchet of course, an 8 millimeter to get the skid plate off. We have the torque wrench to torque the drain bolt when we're finished, and then of course the funnel ratio right to measure out the oil, a little contact cleaner, etc. We are going to use the triangle stand again. This is an accessory that we offer on the website at betausa.com. There's also a fork support for traveling to keep the tension off your forks while allowing you to strap the bike down. But we're going to use this so that we can tip the bike onto the right side without having to hold it up while the oil drains. And then of course obviously an oil pan. Okay, so first things we're going to do here, we're going to get the skid plate off. This is a stock skid plate, so it is just a couple of 8 mils, real straightforward. Nice. The stock skid plate can be a little tricky to remove on these two strokes. You have to get it around the silent block mount for the exhaust here, so just give it a little tweak and it'll pop around that mount. It's real world dirt right there. So again, as stated before, we're going to use the triangle so that we can get this bike tipped over onto the right side away from the kickstand, and that'll allow us to get the oil drained real easily out of the drain bolt, which is again a 13 millimeter. So we're going to use the extension, get in there and go ahead and remove that drain bolt. All right, we're gonna go ahead and let that drain and go back over to the bench here. This is where you wanna take the time to inspect your oil drain plug. It is a magnetic tip on the two strokes and four strokes on all the Beta models there. So go ahead and give that an inspection and look for any sort of large debris. It's not uncommon to see a lot of this fine particulate here from the clutch plates, and that is not something to be concerned about. Just go ahead and clean that off real good. Okay. And then while we're there, we're going to go ahead and change that O-ring, and we'll swap that out with a new one just to be sure we get a nice seal. I like to use a small flathead screwdriver, something that is not very sharp, to get the O-ring off of there. Then we're going to go ahead and reinstall the new O-ring. Make sure that's all the way down there at the bottom of the drain bolt. Okay, so once the oil's done draining there, we're going to go ahead and reinstall the drain bolt. You want to make sure you get that started by hand so you don't cross thread the bolt into the case. We're going to get our torque wrench, and the manual calls for 15 Newton meters. So we're going to go ahead and get that set. $15 Newton meters. That is not a lot. It is just seated. You do not want to over tighten these bolts. It can cause problems. Go ahead and wipe up any residual oil there, and then we're going to get that skids plate reinstalled. And just like the reverse of taking it off here, we got to work it around the silent block there. Once it's in place, we're going to go ahead and get the bolts started and tighten them back down. Okay, we're going to fill the oil now. We're going to go ahead and take the fill cap off here. And using a funnel to pour it in here so we don't make a mess, we're going to add 800 cc's of oil. Now here at Beta we use the Liqui Moly 4T SAE 10W50 off-road race oil. This is approved for the transmissions and the full line of Beta motorcycles. It is something that we use on the factory race teams, so don't let the 4T scare you off there. Got it pre-measured out here in the ratio right. We're gonna just go ahead and get that in slowly as not to overfill the funnel. These ratio rights only go to 500, so we went ahead and threw that in. We're gonna add an additional 300 again for a total of 800 cc's for the transmission side. Now this is for a normal oil change. If you were to do an engine overhaul, it does require a little bit more at 850 cc's. But again, this is just a standard oil change, so we're just doing the 800 today. You got to give that ratio right a minute to drip all that oil in there so the measurement's actually accurate. And then we also want to give the oil just a minute to drain out of the funnel. Once we know that's clear, we can go ahead and remove the funnel. Make sure nothing residual drips. We're going to inspect the oil fill cap here, replace the O-ring if necessary. Just make sure that there's no dirt or debris on the threads or the oil fill cap at all. And then we're going to go ahead and get that reinstalled. That wraps up the oil change on the 250-300 Beta Race Editions here today. Make sure to give us a follow and like, and don't forget to check out the website at betausa.com.